So there's plenty to dislike this season in Destiny 2. In the eyes of most of the community, Season of Dawn has been a bit of a flop, really. And how, if you were to ask a small yet vocal minority within said community, this season literally signals the beginning of the end for our beloved Destiny franchise. If I'm being totally honest, I personally find that sort of hyperbolic nonsense to be a bit silly, but I digress. Hello everyone, my name is Lil Noob, and I'd like to take a moment to tell y'all a story. This story involves World of Warcraft, a massive content drought, and how exactly this all ties into Season of Dawn within Destiny 2. Alright, so let me go back a few years to 2014, October 12th to be exact. Blizzard releases Content Patch 5.4. This patch would be the last bit of content that the Mist of Pandaria expansion would receive. It was a fairly big deal as it contained the Siege of Orgrimmar raid, a raid designed to close out the expansion's story and set things up for the inevitable sequel expansion. The raid itself was certainly pretty, and I guess it was epic enough, but overall I remember feeling that the encounters ranged from lackluster to flat out dull. Now, patch 5.4 would ultimately be regarded as a bleak moment within the WoW community. Blizzard wouldn't release another content patch for over a year. After patch 5.4's release, the WoW community would be subjected to an insane, dull 398 days of nothingness. And during that time, subscribers were paying $15 a month. I honestly can't tell you how many times I logged into the game trying to justify the $15 that I had spent. To put things into perspective, if you remained a subscriber to WoW during the content drought, you ultimately spent $195 US. Hell, let's call it even $200 due to the taxes applied to the subscriptions. To make matters worse, during this time, Blizzard didn't really communicate a whole lot with the player base. Though, that being said, if I'm being perfectly honest, I really don't know what they could have said. There really just wasn't all that much for them to discuss during this content drought. Now let's take that insane content drought, a drought that has occurred actually to a somewhat lesser degree several times during WoW's existence, and let's compare it to the way Bungie has decided to release Destiny 2 content moving forward. In a game like WoW, it's quite rare to see a large content patch once every 3 months. As a World of Warcraft player, you're actually quite lucky if you see content patches once every 4 months. And during that time frame, you're still spending $15 a month. Now let's compare this to Bungie's Destiny 2 release schedule, and I think you'll see where I'm going with this. Now, I'm definitely not trying to make the argument that the Season of Dawn is necessarily all that great. As an individual that predominantly sticks to PvP, Season 9 has been pretty lackluster. But I just can't help but feel as if I'm getting significantly more for my money while playing Destiny 2. Look, I'm not trying to tell you that your opinions of Season 9, whatever they may be, are invalid. Everyone's entitled to their own opinions, ultimately. The exact amount of entertainment one gets out of Season 9 will obviously vary quite a bit. I guess what I'm ultimately trying to say is this. Things could be so much very, very worse than they actually are. We're spending $10 every 3 months for actual playable content. I guess I just find that to be a good deal overall. As I mentioned before, during WoW's year-long content drought, nearly all of us struggled to find a reason to log in. Some of us took a brief sabbatical from the game. Others tried things that they would have otherwise avoided. PvP players tried dabbling in PvE and vice versa. Hell, some of us tried the brand new, in my opinion completely silly, pet battle system that was ripped straight out of a Pokemon game, and they loved it. So, if you're currently bored to tears in Destiny 2, then perhaps you could try applying similar tactics to the game. If you generally hate PvP, then perhaps give PvP a few tries with some of your friends. If you've never raided before, then try the Destiny LFG Discord server and see if you can find some random people to run with. And, perhaps as a last resort, then maybe taking a short break is the best option here. It's not like there's any shame in it. As gamers, it's entirely possible for us to play our favorite games to the point of becoming burnt out, so let's try to avoid that. Bungie ultimately has a whole lot on the line here, and a great deal to prove with this upcoming season. I'm legitimately interested in seeing how things ultimately pan out. So what do you think? Is Destiny 2 on the brink of complete and total destruction? Or are we simply experiencing a less than stellar moment within Destiny 2 that'll be rectified with Season 10? Let me know what you think in the comment section down below, and nuke the shit out of that like button if you like this video. Also, if you dig the content that I have uploaded thus far, then maybe consider subscribing to the channel. Thanks again, Guardians, and I'll see you out on the battlefield.